Do you find part 2 of the reading and use of English paper in the bidder first exam difficult? You're not alone, as many students struggle with this part because, unlike multiple choice tasks, here you must decide the missing word entirely on your own. As having no word choices, you have to rely on your grammar and vocabulary control as well as context understanding. That's why today we will practice with a part 2 exam style task. This task is taken from the course B2 Cambridge Success Master Reading and Use of English, and it is part of Unit 9 Reading and Use of English Part 2. This lesson is open to everyone, so try it out and see how it helps you improve. Now I'm going to go through this open close task as if I were a candidate. But first, a quick overview of Part 2 in the official exam. Here is how Part 2 appears in the digital exam, but be it the digital one or the paper-based exam, its structure is this one. A short text, 8 gaps, no word choice, whose focus is on grammar and vocabulary. Now, back to our task. I'm going to think aloud, explaining every step so you can see how you must approach this type of task. Let's take it step by step. You must pause the video and read the text for gist. Read the text quickly to understand what it is about. The text is short, and reading it is a must if you do want to do it right and get the high score. Next, we always read each gapped sentence attentively, paying much attention to the words before and after the gap, thinking of word types, collocations, phrasal verbs. So let's do it. Many believe routines can help them perform better. What kind of word fits before routines? It must be a determiner, right? That refers to something specific. Many believe these routines, yeah, these must be right as it refers to the routines mentioned in the sentence before, these quirky pre-game rituals and superstitions. So, these must be the word we need. Let's move on to the second gapped sentence. For example, some athletes wear a lucky item of clothing to add a safety net in things go wrong during the game. The expression to add a safety net suggests preparing for something bad happening. And the correct phrase in English is in case, yeah? In case things go wrong. If we didn't have the preposition in, we would type in when. But in this case, the word case is the only one that fits logically and grammatically here. Let's move on to the third gap. They blame it luck if they miss a critical shot or make a costly mistake. The phrase blame it is familiar. There is a missing preposition here. We say blame something on something in English. They may blame it on luck. Yes, on, that's the correct word. Let's move on. The fourth gap sentence. While some athletes rely on their superstitions, know deep down that success comes from practice and skill. This sentence contrasts two groups. We've got some athletes versus another group. The opposite of some here would be others, meaning other athletes. So the best word is others. Let's move on. Gap sentence 5. Many are still stick to their routines, no matter how unusual they may seem. This sentence starts with a word that signals contrast. So, what fits here? Many still stick to their routines contrasts with the previous sentence, the ones that do rely on superstitions. The linking word, however, fits perfectly because it introduces a contrast. Besides, look at the punctuation here. However is always followed by a comma. So, however is the one we need here. Let's type it in. Now, ready to move on to the gapped sentence number 6? Let's read it. A famous example is swimmer Michael Phelps always followed a precise pre-race routine, even though he probably knew deep down that it was his training that made the difference. We need a relative pronoun here. We've got Michael Phelps is a person, so we use who to describe him. If we didn't have this comma here, that would also be an option. But in this case, given the comma, we either use who for people and which for objects. Let's type in the pronoun who. Let's check it out. The swimmer Michael Phelps, who always followed this routine. Good, let's move on. Gap 7. Some athletes even find themselves obsessing over unrelated details, like whether they remembered to turn the oven off, leaving home for a big competition. What have we got here? We need a word that shows the order of actions. First, they turn the oven off and then they leave. Given the gerund here, living, we do need a preposition. So we always say before leaving, right? This is the missing word, before. And now the 8th sentence. And when the pressure is on, some turn superstitious rituals, hoping that luck will give them the edge they need. The verb turn here often takes a preposition too. When talking about relying on something, we say we turn to something when we depend on it. So the correct answer is to. Let's read it again. When the pressure is on, some tend to superstitious rituals, which means they try to depend on them. Fantastic! We just completed an open close task together. And you saw how important it is to think logically about each gap. If you want to learn more, access the full lesson in Unit 9 of my course B2 Cambridge Success Master Reading and Use of English. And remember, the best part is that the lesson is completely free. On site, you'll find a detailed video tutorial where I guide you step by step, teach you useful vocabulary, share strategies, talk about function words. These are the ones that we do need for these gaps, and much more. Check the link in the description to access and look through the full lesson yourself. And as always, stay tuned for more words of advice and handy material. Bye!